recomposition is the process of adding muscle while losing fat at the same time. It's the most economical way of getting into shape because it saves you going through two processes, bulking and cutting. I've successfully recomped twice, adding over 7 pounds of muscle while losing nearly 14 pounds of fat at the same time. Nearly every video I found online and article tells you how to do body recomposition with some pretty sound theory, but lack verifiable examples with before and after shots showing people that have actually, followed these routines and had success doing them. Most of the articles and videos I've seen have got very shady before and after pictures where somebody's poking their tummy out in the first one and looking a bit sad, looking at it on the second one, looking a bit happier, and of course it's gonna look pretty good. That's where the Fitness Savvy Body Recomposition series is different. I will share with you my DEXA body scans, my diet plans, the workouts I did, my before and after pictures, everything you need to know for free on this channel. Before I tell my story, I'll share with you some of the common misconceptions and myths about body recomposition. The first one being that it's not possible. This is the most common thing you'll hear, is that it's not possible to add muscle while losing fat at the same time. It's two different processes. You have to be in a calorie surplus to build muscle, you need to be in a deficit to lose fat. That isn't true, as you will see in this series. The second one, and this is a big one, is regarding protein intake. A lot of online protein calculators will massively overestimate how much protein you need. Most of them appear on sites that are trying to sell supplements, so that should come as no surprise. But for example, I was being told I needed 220 grams of protein a day. At sort of 5'8" and 160 pounds, that just seemed ludicrous. So I did a few months research and that led me to building the Fitness Savvy protein intake calculator, which is in the description below, so you can go and check that out. Rather than just a standard 1 gram per pound of body weight, it's based on lean body mass, so you can kind of put your body fat percentage in there, you can put your training frequency, all these different things to get a much more accurate level for your protein requirements. We'll speak more about that in the diet video where we go over the macros and cover a little bit more in depth of how we conducted the research into developing that calculator tool. So for both my recomps, I was having between 130 and 140 grams of protein per day, to put it into perspective. And during this, I added a significant amount of muscle while losing fat. So yeah, just kind of be careful with how much protein you're taking in. The next one is the next myth, bust, is cardio. I've seen some videos and read some articles saying that you should do cardio after your workout because this is going to improve your fat burning capabilities. On the other hand, I think it compromises your muscle building capabilities. If you're doing an hour's worth of weightlifting and then you're following with half an hour of cardio, then your cortisol levels, your stress hormone is going to be higher, and I think that's probably going to be detrimental to muscle gains. I certainly didn't do any cardio during my two recompositions other than walking to the shops. Just walk quite often down to the local shops and back, a few miles a week, but other than that, certainly no high intensity cardio, nothing like that. Now we've got a few of the myths out the way, I'll tell you the stories of my two body recompositions. So the reason I recomped in the first place was because I injured my elbow doing skull crushers, and just for the record, I think people should be much more interested in their elbows rather than their skull while doing skull crushers, because you're much more likely to give yourself tendonitis if you're lifting it too heavy and doing it wrong. I was doing it wrong, bringing the weight down towards my forehead, which put a lot of pressure on my elbow joint. So after a few months of doing that and getting heavier and heavier, I got kind of an overuse injury. So I was out of the gym and I tried kind of rehabbing and going back in after a few weeks, and I just knew that it wasn't going to happen. So it took 6 months in total to heal and get to a point whereby I could go into the gym. And sort of as I got closer and closer to being able to get back in the gym, I started deciding, am I going to bulk or am I going to cut? Because I was in the camp that body recomposition was not possible, so I didn't even entertain the idea. Because I was kind of at that middle ground where I didn't know whether I should, cut a bit of fat or if I should start trying to put on muscle, I thought, you know what, I'll go and have a DEXA body scan, I'll do an experiment, I'll build up a plan, and I'll spend 3 months and I'll see what the results are. And that's exactly what I did. I did a lot of research to build the Fitness Savvy body recomposition plan, and then I put it into action. I had a DEXA body scan before and after. So here's my DEXA body scan pictures from 2017, and that was with 3 months of body recomposition. So I added 8.4 pounds of muscle while losing 6.2 pounds of fat. The second body recomposition wasn't planned. I didn't think, do you know what, I'm going to get fat and test out body recomposition again, that'll be a laugh. But I injured my shoulder this time, overuse injury again, not warming up properly, I wasn't doing face pulls, I was neglecting my rear delts. and kind of other areas of the shoulder. So it led to an overuse injury, something that you should definitely make sure you avoid, because again, I was out for 6 months. I thought I'll just, what anybody else would do, I'll just get fat again and test out the body recomposition just to see if it was a fluke the first time, or whether if I applied the same techniques and the same things, I would recomp again. So here is a reverse before and after picture. You don't see these very often. So here is a picture of me at 19% body fat. This is before I did a reverse recomp. So it was a couple of weeks after this picture was taken when I injured my shoulder. And here is me 6 months later at 31%, 31.5% body fat. So very, very different pictures there. So what I did is I didn't go to the gym and I ate what I wanted. I put on a total of 21 pounds of fat. So I didn't actually lose any muscle. So my muscle actually stayed about the same. I maybe lost a couple of pounds, the DEXA scans and measurements can vary a little bit, but pretty much I just got fat. So what did I do? I just did the exact same routine again as I did before. And what were the results? Well, you can see, here's the before and after picture. After 12 months of doing it. So most of the change took place in the first 3 months again. What I did then for the next sort of 3 months was I experimented. I thought I'll see how long I can recomp for. And so the truth, after the first 6 months, there wasn't any recomposition taking place. I lost muscle and fat when I did the next scan after that. So it leads me to believe that kind of 6 months is the longest you can kind of utilize that window of body recomposition before things start to slow down, and then you either have to choose to bulk and start putting on muscle or cut down a bit further. No, you're going to lose a bit of the muscle you've put on, but you can kind of get yourself a little bit leaner, so it depends on kind of which direction you want to go there. If people are still looking at the before and after pictures and thinking, well, maybe he's poking his tummy out in that one, here's another picture slightly from the side angle, so you can see that. And also I managed to find some video footage I took 3 weeks into my recomp. I mean, I'd already lost kind of 3 centimeters around my waist by this point, but I thought just so people know it's not, a sticking out tummy picture, here's some footage of me holding my tummy and looking, so you can kind of see how much fat I was carrying around my midsection. Some things people should know about body fat percentages is that I'm telling you my body fat percentages based on a DEXA body scan. These percentages show a lot higher than what you might find with some calipers. To be honest, when I first had a DEXA body scan and it told me I was 25%, I thought I was probably about 16% body fat. In fact, I was, I didn't know how I was going to go home and tell my family that actually I was fat.
I'm not quite sure how to say this. I'm fat. Let me give you a minute to absorb that.
But yeah, if you're taking caliper or tape measure measurements and you think you're like 11-12% body fat, you're probably more towards 20% if you were to go and have a DEXA body scan. When people say, you won't start seeing your abs until you're 10%, it's probably the most ridiculous thing in fitness, because the place I get my DEXA body scans done, they've never measured anybody sub 10%. In fact, kind of stage ready is about 12%. So if they were under 10%, you'd be much more likely to be seeing bones because they'd be dead. So yeah, if you're taking body fat caliper measurements and you're kind of comparing stuff with, with the pictures you're seeing here, then you need to add a few percentage points to that. Here are some of the common mistakes people make when body recompositioning. The first is cutting calories too much. So I'll share with you that in the second recomp, I fell for that. I, thought because I was carrying a lot more weight, I was a lot fatter, I should cut my calories a bit more heavily to, kind of get rid of that fat. The first 8 weeks, I lost 8 pounds of fat, which is brilliant, but I only put on 2 pounds of muscle. So this goes to kind of support that theory that, kind of cutting your calories too much or doing too much cardio is going to limit your muscle building abilities. During the second 8 weeks of the recomp, I got my calories back into kind of, the same as they were the first time round. So it was only a mild calorie deficit, cutting my calories on workout day, on rest days, and increasing the calories slightly on workout days, leading to a kind of maintenance slight deficit over the week. And this led to one of the most impressive results they've seen at the body scan place, where I put on about 6 pounds of muscle and lost about 6 pounds of fat in 8 weeks. Second thing is doing the recomp for too long. So the reason it's taken me kind of, I've carried on for sort of like a year, was that I wanted to try, another few months trying this or trying that, trying different routines. I tried, with German volume training routines. I tried with other standard routines. I tried cutting my calories just a little bit, so just a bit. I tried cutting them more, less. And after sort of 6 months of body recomposition, it just doesn't happen. If you're in a deficit, I started to lose muscle. No matter what routine I tried, you'd always lose a bit of muscle while in that calorie deficit, which leads me to believe kind of you don't want to be doing it any longer than 4 to 6 months. At the end of that 4 to 6 months, you want to decide if you want to move into putting on muscle because you feel you're lean enough, or if you want to get, really ripped and you think, well, actually, I want to, kind of shed that last bit of fat, then you go into a deficit, but understand you will lose a bit of muscle along the way while doing that. Another one is not getting enough sleep. People make that mistake. It's important for your hormone regulation. It's important for building muscle. It's important for, recovery, all that kind of stuff. So you need to make sure you're getting enough sleep. The third one is doing too much cardio. We've touched on this as well. I didn't do any cardio in my recomps, so although it might work, I wouldn't advise doing it because I haven't tested it and tried it, and my theory is that it would be the same as cutting your calories too much. You're kind of going to compromise and limit your ability to build muscle. The other mistake is eating too much protein. As we've said, it makes it more difficult to get your calories in check and get your macros well balanced. So just steer away from eating too much protein. The other one is overtraining. People think, if I'm going to lose fat and build muscle, I need to be working out 6-7 times a week. An important part of the body recomposition, which you'll see in the diet videos and in the rest of this series, which you should subscribe so you don't miss, you'll see that you need to be kind of cycling your calories. So you need to have a few days a week where you're resting and recovering in a calorie deficit, and a few days where you're in, a surplus and you're lifting weights. So that's another one of the mistakes. So you will find out more from this Fitness Savvy Body Recomposition series. So hit the subscribe button, and if we've already released the videos, you might be able to go and see them all now, in which case go and have a look at them. We're going to be doing ones on the diet, the upper and lower body splits, what rep ranges we did, all that kind of stuff, and I'll be sharing my scan results and a bit more of the data surrounding them. So yeah, subscribe and head on over to the website as well, where you can compare prices on fitness equipment and supplements.